Test. Hey, there we go. 2 minutes. All right, let's call the Watt County Board of Education work session for May 7th to order. Appreciate everyone being here. We've got a lot to cover tonight because we're going to be going through the items in our consent agenda, so I want to make sure that we've got enough time to talk about the items that are in that portion of our agenda. So we'll first start out in reviewing these by item. Included in your packet for this month was the minutes from our regular meeting on April 9th, along with our minutes from our work session. Those were, notice a little difference there. Those were trying out some technology, some dictation technology, I guess, be the best way to put it. Some people might call it AI, but those minutes were provided, summarized. They were reviewed by a human, so it wasn't just taking that for granted. And it was pretty thorough, so glad we have that. So appreciate y'all putting that together. So any questions, corrections, comments regarding the minutes from our regular meeting or our work session from April? Yes, ma'am, please.
I am totally unorganized. I apologize.
All right, that's minus 5 points.
That's been me. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, it's working. So on the approval of the minutes, if you go down, it has me as yes, and I was not here.
All right, so Ms. Fowler noted that in the work session minutes, and was that also same with the regular minutes?
Oh, wait a minute.
It was only the work session. You were noted absent in the
Okay.
regular meeting. So, so that's one correction that we need to make on the work session minutes. Please remove. Wait a second. Sorry, Ms. Fowler. You're noted as absent for both. Oh, excuse me, the approval of the minutes. Yes, Ms. Fowler, Ms. Fowler and Ms. Stone also showing a vote, so we need to,
Mr. Chair, I
I'm
wonder,
sorry. That's for March 19th.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
what I
for
was
March
fixing to say.
19th, okay.
Yeah, I caught it.
All
But
right.
it's got approval of minutes, but then right under it, it says Mr. McDonald requested a correction to the record regarding the Central View property.
yeah, I think that was a correction to the March meeting that we caught in the April meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think you're correct on that, Mr. Smith. Yeah, that was just how it was, the correction for that particular item on the agenda. So you were present in the March meeting. Okay. That's good. Good that we're reading these. Anything else regarding our, the approval of the minutes? All right, then next we'll move down to our policy report. So in your packet, you were presented with several policies. So it looks like a total of about 16 different policies that are coming forward on first reading. Mr. Dromberger provided us with a summary of those policies from TSBA. And as you know, that TSBA helps us with keeping our policies compliant with state laws, law changes. Then addition to the policies need to be made from time to time. And there are several that have come forward. And our policies reflect as a basis the model policies TSBA provides. We also always have the opportunity to modify them to fit our district and what the board's intent is. But it is a starting point for us to make sure that any updates or any new policies are in place and compliant to state and federal law. So there was, again, several policies that would be coming forward on first reading tonight, and I'll just note those. 1151, 1804, 4214, 5114, 5200, 5201, 5202, 5302, 5310, 5400, 5403, 5606, 5608, 5800, 51151, 63041. Those are first reading policies, and just for the record, 1804's alcohol and drugs in the workplace update, 5114 personnel files update on our policy regarding personnel files. 51151 is telework during emergencies. 5200 and 5202, that's separation practice for separation practice for employees. It was recommended that we review the language with our board attorney. So, Mr. D, is that being looked at?
I haven't had that conversation with him yet. I wanted the board's input on these policies. It has to deal with pay for during suspensions. There are opportunities in rare circumstances for that. So I was going to wait for the board's conversation after first reading before I reached out to the board attorney on that.
Okay, thank you. Let's circle back to that. 5302 is update to regarding sick leave. 5400 is personnel health examinations and communicable diseases. 5403 is drug and alcohol testing for employees. 5606 is political activities. 5608 is tutoring for pay. 5800 regards updated policy clarifying roles of directors of schools and personnel. And then get into 5104.
Those are administrative procedures.
I'm sorry, administrative procedures. So, so yeah, that covers the policies that would require updates. So that information we've been given the link to those model policies and can compare those to what's currently in place. So I'm going to pause here a second and ask board if there's, circling back to the separation policies, 5200 and 5202. Anything you think we need to discuss on these policies regarding first reading?
I guess my question would be, is there anything germane to these policies other than 5200 or the separation policies that would require us to forego first reading and make it policy immediately? Or is there anything pressing that would need to get that done?
That's a great question. When I reviewed these and thinking about that, the only one that really stands out to me would be personnel files, just making sure that that's updated, that employees know that disciplinary action would become part of a employee's personnel file, but I think the director might have some input on that if that's necessary to forego a first reading on that. In the season we're in, election season, regarding political activities, that might be one that we would want to have in place in the event somebody didn't know, but that not allowed to use district property for filming political content. It's pretty specific about what that property is too in their model policy. But not sure if either of those would necessarily arise to foregoing a second reading. Mr. D, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's any, that time would prohibit us from doing that or prohibit the board from doing that, but I'm also not sure that there's a need to rush those through. So if the board would like to take the time, I feel confident we have time to do that. I think you have time to study those a little deeper, and then also I'll have time to really highlight. TSBA was having trouble with all week with their website, so normally I'm able to highlight in yellow and show those things. I'll have the opportunity to do that for you a little bit better in the coming days, and then that way you'll have a firmer standing maybe on some of these. That's just my recommendation. There's nothing there though that is imperative, I think, that we get done tonight. So if the board wants to take the next month for second reading, that'd be fine with me.
Thank you. So 5200 and 5202. Regarding separation practices, what would you like us to know regarding those three policies?
So I think that's where we're going to like to have some guidance from the board attorney. It's the practice now that the director of schools may not pay someone who's on suspension during pending investigation, and there are some situations where it may be beneficial. I think what the policy speaks to is it may be in the best interest for someone to be out of the building while some investigation is going on, but they've not necessarily being investigated themselves. And I think there's been some situations where people have been out of pay during that time that was really nothing that they were being investigated for. So I think it's a little vague in that sense that I think we need some input from the board attorney on that. It would be my recommendation that the board would approve it on first reading. I'd be able to supply you with that information from the board attorney here in the next few days, and then you'd be able to make a final determination and have more discussion on it at next month's meeting.
Okay, so the recommendation on that is we approve it on first reading. You gather some information, review with the attorney, provide that to us prior to our June 11th meeting, and then that may be one, if there's further discussion on how we want to handle that, we make that an agenda item and not a work session item.
I guess, Mr. D, just one quick question from me. 5201 and 02 are certified non-tenured teachers, tenured teachers, and then non-certified staff. Will you be seeking guidance from him for all three of those policies, or all those policies that fall under the separation practices for the district?
Yes, I will be getting advice on all of those.
Okay. And I guess that even goes into the sick leave, all of those. Is that part of that separation as well?
No, sick leave is separate. That's separate from those policies.
Okay.
It's a different different change there.
Okay, all right, sounds great, thank you.
So just clarification on that sick leave. Basically, if it's saying the policy should provide a provision that if you're going to be absent for 5 days or longer, that you have to have evidence, doctor's note, or something supporting that absence.
Yes, that's correct. The administrators can request a sick leave note from a doctor any day that a sick leave is used, but after 5, then they have to provide that.
Mr. Chair, question on that. Sick leave bank, it says if applicable. Do we have a sick leave bank?
We do, and we have parameters, procedures based specifically for White County on that.
Okay. I have another question or two, if I may, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
On the telework policy, there's a line there that says telework during emergencies. In the second paragraph, it says telework outside of times of emergency is not prohibited. That seems a little stringent. Because I think there are times that working outside of your normal station does make sense, even when it's not an emergency.
Yeah, so the telework really didn't exist much in the education world prior to COVID, and then obviously that's when it came about. And we still have, I haven't discussed it with TSBA where this is coming from, but I'm assuming that they're having problems with people that are using that and abusing that, and so this is being put back out there. This is one of those, you can tell it has like a 5-digit number, so it was one of those that was added during COVID for that need. But now that that's passed, that's, I guess they're pulling that back. So, it's something we don't do. We have leave, and I agree there may be times for that, but then it opens the door for a lot of abuse or, I think there's something with public education. We want to be synchronous and in person, and there's a need for that, and that's what we pride ourselves on. And so it's just a practice that doesn't lend itself, although in some situations I could see it, but doesn't lend itself overall to the benefit of public education. So
Okay.
I'd have to, I don't want to speak for TSBA where exactly that's coming from, but and I don't see a lot of TCA references on that. But again, this came out of COVID. We're post-COVID. I think it was being abused, and so that's why they're making a recommendation that it be adopted.
Okay, thank you. One other quick question. Under policy 1804, when it talks about alcohol and drugs in the workplace, and it defines workplace as any school building, school premise, so on and so forth, that doesn't take into consideration the previous policy 51-151, where that workplace could be remote. Should a line be in the definition for 1804 that just specifies that? If that makes sense to anybody but me.
So, Mr. Smith, if I hear you correctly, you're saying that if you're working remote, then that would be considered a workplace?
That's what I'm saying. And in the definition of 1804, it doesn't directly specify that. I'm sure you could infer it, but would we want to be clear in that situation too?
I think even in that definition of 1804, when it defines the workplace, it talks about or any other school-approved vehicle. I think you could also say any school-approved workplace, because remote learning would have to be approved by a supervisor. So
Right,
if that's
exactly.
approved workplace, then now, it gets into, I don't know, the legal of that. If something happens at your home, what authority does the employer have at that case? That would probably be a legal situation. But I understand your point. If we're going to approve that to be a workplace, then those places need to be drug and alcohol free as well. So,
Right.
Think the expectation is if you're working from home, remote, and you're on camera, then you don't have to have your adult beverage. You don't need to have your adult beverage on camera.
No comment.
for the record, this is Sprite Zero. and just went, no additives, so.
It's good point, Mr. Smith. I'm not sure necessarily you'd have to go that deep in the weeds on that. But that might be a question we could ask our attorney, since we have some other questions for him as well.
I'll make that notation to ask that question, but as I said, if you adopt 51-115, that there's no telework allowed, then it makes that point moot, so.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions about policies for first reading? So we do have 3 policies that will be coming up for second reading tonight. 2400 regarding revenues or cash transactions and how we would round up to minimize the penny. Had 6411 regarding student wellness. And we don't have anything in our nutrition program that violate that policy. So that actually, that item was actually removed from the agenda, so it doesn't need to come up for second reading for this. So that was no change on that. So really, the only 2 policies for second reading that we need to deal with is 2400 and 1404. 1404 is regarding the statute that allowed the public to comment on any topic that's germane to the district. And we said in this policy that we would, the motion passed, this policy passed last on first reading, setting a 30-minute total time limit and a 3-minute per speaker. And so that was what we passed in a regular meeting. So just any questions or comments? If we're good with that, then at a second reading that will go into effect, and I plan to announce that would go into effect immediately this evening. But if not comfortable with those times, we'll need to move that out to new business. Okay, with no comments on that, then we will consider that part of our consent agenda. All right. So next in our packet had a maintenance report. Appreciate Mr. Alley being here tonight. Just in lieu of time, unless there's anything specific regarding maintenance the board member has from Mr. Alley, we can move on to our budget reports. Any questions for Mr. Alley? Okay, then next will be our budget report. Ms. Officer.
So this report was combined information from myself and from Mr. Chad Markham. Thank you for that. The following report is presented detailing the financial position of White County School System for the period ending April 30th, 2026. Through the end of April, total revenues for all school funds were $39,531,899, while total expenditures and encumbrances were $37,307,422, resulting in a combined estimated fund balance of $22,679,641. This reflects a continued increase from the beginning fund balance and supported by the finalization of the major local sales tax collection cycles. However, the final 2 months of this fiscal year are typically heavy on expenditures, and it is therefore anticipated this increased fund balance will return to a more normal level by June 30th. Within the general purpose school fund, revenues through April are kind of flat, representing less than 0.5% increase from the same period of last year. Expenditures and encumbrances, again, are an increase. Everything is just getting more expensive. These expenditures continue to be driven largely by salaries and the wages. Local option sales tax collections for the year to date has reflected continued growth over this time last year. Expenditures for all departments vary between 70% and 8% of the budgeted expenditures, with the exception of the technology department. And there's going to be requiring a budget amendment in the month of June for this final expenditure due to some federal grants, which is typical of this cleanup procedure because there are some things that just have to reallocate funds because we just had not anticipated that. The school fund projects fund expenditures, revenues are 12.88% lower than the prior year, while expenditures are 0.82% lower, as program activity continues to be within the established guidelines. The Central Cafeteria Fund revenues show an increase of 9.08% over the prior year, but again, it's caused by revenue recognition delay in the prior year and does not represent an anticipated overall increase in revenue. This fund continues to face the headwinds caused primarily by increased food and equipment cost. But overall, the school system maintains a stable financial standing as we approach the end of this fiscal year. With property tax collections now at 134% of the annual budget, our health remains strong and consistent with historical performances and the year-end projections.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Officer, and thank you, Mr. Markham, for y'all putting that thorough report together. Any questions, comments, board members regarding the our financial report?
Mr. Chair, I don't have anything on the financial report. I'd like to back up just for a second on maintenance and ask Mr. Alley a question if I could.
Okay.
If you would allow.
Let's make sure. Any questions on our budget report?
Mr. Smith.
I have a question, just because I can't remember. But with the Central Cafeteria Fund, the starting balance for this year was the ending balance from the previous year. There's not additional funds that are added to it. Okay, thank you.
Anything else regarding the financial report? Okay, Mr. McDonald, we'll swing back to you and pick
Thank
up
you,
on
Mr.
maintenance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Alley, I wanted to commend you and your group for the job well done on the bathroom project at the high school. I've heard lots and lots and lots of positive things from that. Drove by the other day, looks real nice. I didn't get out and go over and look at it, but I just drove by. Everything looks good. Just wanted to commend your group for the job well done there. Also, looks like you got quite a bit of stuff coming up for the summer. Going to be able to get all of that done over the summer. Doyle's going to be ready to go for next school year. Walking track and everything.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, to echo that, you know, we've been blessed. We've had some really good maintenance crews over the years, and we've never had more than 4 or 5 people taking care of, what is it? Yeah, I was going to say 17, 18 buildings, and they're doing this. But I had somebody just tell me this week, they said this is the best maintenance crew we've ever had, and no offense to anybody that's come prior, but they've all been great. But this crew's doing a really good job. They're already doing preventative things that we normally wouldn't be doing until later in the summer. They've had opportunities to build bathrooms while they're taking care of our buildings. They're building a maintenance shed, a big shed at the maintenance garage or the bus garage right now in between fixing everything else at the school. So they're doing a great job.
That helps. All right. Maintenance and budget. So next we'll go through, we've got a healthy list of budget amendments and transfers, 13 in total. So Ms. Stromberger, if you could speak to those.
Okay, several of these are just cleanups from the end of the year. As we get to the end of the budget, we're moving money from where it's not needed from one line item to somewhere where it is. So that's the case here in the first one, which is in CTE reserve. We're moving revenue code 802. We're moving minor $17.67 to from career and technical. Excuse me, it's just money that's unused in PD and moving it over to instructional supplies and materials, so they can buy some things down the stretch. Also, similar fashion, this is the out-of-school time grant. This is Fund 142, again, CTE funds, needed money for Social Security and subs and stipends. So we're moving money out of instructional supplies and materials and moving it to employee benefits to cover some Social Security, state retirement, and Medicare. That's $412. Next, we're moving money from the reserve to Stellar for educational-based health services. Actually, we're moving it out of that category and moving it to other supplies and materials. And so to purchase things down the stretch for the schools. Next is Fund 142, Subfund 102. This is more benefits, money needed for benefits, so we're moving that out of teachers. We had some extra teacher salary pay in there and in the budget, and we moved that over to the regular instruction program for pensions for benefits. Moving on, 142, Subfund 901, special ed funding, moving it out of, this $2,000, moving it out of special ed equipment, move it over to other salaries and wages, just making those funds available where they're needed more. Next one is Fund 141, Subfund 71200. This is $750, transferring funds from insurance to salaries, so moving it to educational assistance from a funded medical insurance category. Then in similar fashion, 142, Subfund 901, also special ed funds, relocating funds to cover salaries and benefits. So this is $13,998, moving it out of instructional supplies and materials and transportation, and crediting it to educational assistance and benefits. Then 142, Subfund 411, amount of $137, moving funds out of indirect costs and moving it to instructional supplies to be utilized at the end of the school year. 142, Subfund 705, this is McKinney-Vento homelessness funding. We're moving $8,000 in a medical insurance category to the regular instruction program for medical insurance. That's a $8,000 transfer. 141 also, this is an amount of $180,550. So this is an item that's actually on the budget, on the agenda under new business. As we've previously stated, the school district was awarded $607,000 and some change from the State Department for a high-performing bonus money that we received from our test scores from last year. So we received that $607,000. We weren't sure what we were going to do with that. That was put in in our general fund. I don't know if it's actually been put in the fund balance at this point, but I was put it in our account, and we were trying to decide what to do with that money. So we have a need, as I've expressed to the board, that we have some school buses. We buy about 2 school buses every year on average, and we plan to do that again this year. But what we've been doing, our accounting practice has been to get a purchase order and actually to order the buses before we got a purchase order, and then wait till the next fiscal year, which is July 1, and then we're purchasing the buses. So we're ordering buses in one fiscal year and purchasing them in the next, which is not the correct accounting practice. So in talking with our finance director, we would like to get that true. And so when we have the money available to do that now, to get ahead and to pay for the buses when we order them. And so we'd like to go ahead and get on that cycle. Now this time next year, we would have money in the budget to do this again at this time next year. Well, we'd be on the correct budgeting cycle by doing that. So we feel like we're not going to have to dip into our fund balance to do that. We have this money that we received as a bonus. The next sort of third of that money, or next, there's another $100,000. This is not in this particular budget amendment, I don't think, Mr. Markham. Is it the next one? Yeah, it's the next one. So if you would skip down to the next one, this is 141, where you see the amount of $436,234. This is what I'm speaking of right now. That is the amount for the 2 buses that we want to get on, and the $100,000 that I proposed to the board to purchase school vans that we very desperately need. We have many school vans that have gone out of commission. If you don't know, the schools have to run their vehicles until they die. We can't sell them to the general public. We have to gov deal them. We get pennies on the dollar. We might be lucky if we get $500 for a pretty decent vehicle, because we just can't sell them outright. So we have to run them until they die. Well, they're dying, and we have several that have this year that have gone by the wayside. So what I'm proposing is that we would replace a couple of those vans for the schools, but we're also going to keep the majority of this fleet at the bus garage, where they can be monitored and cleaned and checked out. And that's where and hopefully they'll be taken care of well, and they'll last longer. So the $436,234 that you're looking at is about 2/3 of that 607 that we received in bonus funding. So we would buy a fleet of vans, of used vans, but in very good condition, low mileage vans, a total of 5 I'm proposing, and then the 2 buses. And the way I see that, that's going to help our schools with the vans. It's going to help our taxpayers with go ahead and purchasing the buses with that money, and not have to get new money for that and budget it for next year. And then, if you'll go back up one budget amendment, and this $180,550, that's about the last third of that 607 in high performance bonus money. I feel strongly that a good portion of this money needs to go back to the schools. This money was earned by students that took these tests, by teachers and by staff that worked hard to get them prepared for that test. I have requests from schools all the time. If we had a little more money, we could do something big for our school or for our students. We talk a lot about the elementary level of wanting more playground equipment. It's very expensive. PTOs can't raise that kind of money. But this would give them the freedom to talk to their schools and talk to their students and talk to their families and say, if we could buy something big for our kids, what would you want it to be? So this, what I've proposed is about $50 per student. So every school would get $50 per student. And the very end of your packet tonight, you have a breakdown of what that would mean per school. It's pretty significant. One school would receive, I think, at the least about $8,900, and our biggest school would receive about $45,000. So that money would come with stipulations that it needs to be spent soon and on your students. And that doesn't mean to go in the bank and just draw interest. It needs to be spent wisely. With a couple caveats. We don't know if it's ever coming back. Hopefully we're going to keep performing well and get that money. But we were only one of 22 districts in the whole state out of 147 that received that bonus funding. So one, we're very proud of that, but there's no guarantee it's coming back. And I think, I feel strongly that a good portion of this money needs to go back to the schools for our principals and our schools and our school families to decide how to reward our students and provide something neat that otherwise they wouldn't be able to. So those 2 budget amendments go together for that total of $607,000 and change. And I'm sorry for the lengthy explanation, but I wanted to make sure that was very clear, because it is a large amount of money.
So if I could stop right there, I appreciate that explanation, but we've got that in new business.
Yes.
Under high performing bonus allocations. That's really where that needs to take place. So board members, for purposes of budget amendments and transfers, what I'm going to ask that we do is we pull those 2 budget amendments out of consent. We move them as second item an item under the high performance budget bonus allocations, so that way we can properly deliberate on that at that proper time when that comes up in our meeting. So if everybody's okay with that, that just gives us time to hear and ask questions in the proper form.
Okay. Yes, if the jury will strike with the witness' last statement, we'll move forward. The last 2, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last 2 items are Fund 142, Subfund 895, funding to provide instructional supplies and materials, moving it out of special education grants to instructional supplies and materials. And the final one in your packet, 142, Subfund 802, $982, moving it out of in-service and staff development to substitute teachers and benefits. So apologize for those lengthy, that lengthy report, but again, it's the end of the year where we're shuffling money that's already budgeted from one line item to another where it's needed most.
And we should expect those over the next couple months too, in June, maybe July, as we start the transition. But yeah, so just to be clear, we've got, of the 13, we're going to pull 2 out. The general purpose 141s, both of those items, new monies, so we'll pull that out, add that to new business, and then any questions regarding the other budget amendments, which are basically just approving the recommendations for moving money for better intended purposes. Okay, if there's nothing on that, then we'll move next to our personnel reports. Personnel reports for April were provided in your packet with applicants and interviews and hires. Along with that, you had a personnel change report that was provided listing names of new hires, terminations, and transfers. Any questions regarding our personnel reports?
So you only interviewed 4 people, but you hired 6. How does that work?
That's the new math,
Yeah,
Mr. McDonald.
That math don't math at all.
Yeah. It depends on the situation. Sometimes we had people that were already in our midst that we are student teaching with us or already working, and we already know that we want them in those positions. So we don't open those necessarily if we already have folks that we know are prepared and ready to go.
Any other questions regarding personnel report? Okay, if not, then we're provided a threat assessment report for the district going back to end of March through April. Have of 6 items there, we have 2 that are being monitored. Everything else is closed, deemed non-credible. So hope those other 2 turn out to be closed and non-credible at our next meeting. Any questions on our threat assessment report? Okay, if not, we'll go to Mr. Smith regarding TLN report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few key legislative themes from this year. One was the Education Freedom Act and the expansion of the voucher program. I believe it went to 35,000, maybe 40. I'll look to Mr. D to confirm that. I think it went to 40,000. I know White County only has 1 private school that I know of, but to cover the cost of a program like this, I think we'll eventually see the taxpayers affected at some point in the future. Another was technology and student devices, and trying to, or asking us to come up with an appropriate policy to apply those for age-appropriate screen time. Another was teacher compensation and TISA funding. I believe going into this next year, the minimum teacher pay is $50,000. I think that's obviously not enough, but a great minimum to start with for our teachers. And one final one was immigration-related reporting requirements when it comes to looking at who we're allowed to admit into our schools. And those are the major takeaways that I have. And I, as always, turn it over to Mr. D if he has more to share from his superintendent's group that he's with.
No, you're exactly right. I think the total this year on the ESFs are 35,000. That was a compromise that they had made. But I'm actually going Monday to our legislative update with TOS, and where we'll get a breakdown of everything. But what you've reported on is accurate, and were some of the big items that we were watching.
Okay. Any more questions for Mr. Smith regarding TLN report? Okay, if not, we have 4 trip requests that are asked to be considered tonight. White County High School boys basketball program is asked to attend a tournament in Panama City, Florida, December 26th through 30th. White County girls basketball has also requested travel for a tournament to Gulf Shores, Alabama, December 27th through the 30th this year. We have FCCLA request to go to a leadership conference in Washington, D.C. That would be July 5th through the 11th. So those are trips involving students, and we have a request from our director to attend National Superintendent's Forum in December of this year. And so I think the basketball trips and leadership conference are pretty self-explanatory, and we always great for basketball teams to go represent White County and across the country, and so they always do a great job with that. Leadership conference is a great opportunity for the students that are attending that. Mr. D, would you like to speak to the director's request?
Yes, this National Superintendent's Forum is one that I've attended before. A couple years ago, I think I attended one. It's an invitation only of about 50 superintendents across the country. And I'll have an opportunity to present on some of the great things that White County is doing. They pay for, I have to pay for my travel. They pay for my lodging, my meals while I'm there. So it's a pretty minimal expense for me to attend, just my airfare, travel expenses there to and from. And so I would like the opportunity to attend that. It's been a good one in the past for me to go, and it's very economical compared to some others that I'm a part of, other groups that I'm a part of. And I've provided information in the packet for you.
Is there a monetary fee that would need to be attached to this to cover your cost of flights that the board would need to take care of?
I have a travel budget
Okay,
line item,
okay.
and I never exceed that, and so I'm very, very careful about using that. So this would fit in that budget fine.
Perfect.
I would like to bring up, I think last year, didn't we not approve something for Mr. Domberger, Miss Domberger to go, Beverly?
Yes, she went with me. I think we approved. Yeah, I think we did approve some of her travel expenses to go, but I'm not requesting that.
No, that's okay. That's why I'm bringing it up.
So if you were to change your mind on that and for her to go this conference, then you can bring that back up to us at a later meeting. We can consider that if that's something y'all choose to do. Okay. All right. Any other questions regarding our trip requests? Okay. Yes,
Just
sir, Mr.
one,
Smith.
it's just a comment. I look forward to the day that, basketball or another sport brings us a request to travel to like Bismarck, North Dakota. That I'll pay for that one, I'm sure.
You're going to pay for the trip? It's generous of you.
That
Generous
is
of you.
incorrect. For the record,
Generous. Okay.
I am not.
Okay, all right, we'll have to let AI search that out. All right, so next we'll move on to fundraiser requests. We have 3 fundraiser requests. FCCLA is requesting calendar board donations. The football team is requesting sale of field signs, and the quarterback truck club is requesting approval for sales for Jumbotron ads.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may, these are coming for you. We know the board prefers to do most of these in bulk in June, but obviously some of these organizations need to get started fundraising before that, so that's why they're being brought to you now in May.
Looking at these fundraisers, know that they've had administrative approval from the school, directors approving those as well.
They were. I apologize. I put those in the folder as I received them, but I haven't electronically signed them yet, but they have my approval.
Okay, so even though they're not signed, they come with proper recommendations. Board members, any questions regarding those fundraisers? Okay, if not, then we'll move forward to the next item in consent. CTE textbook adoption committee for 25-26. So Lifetime Wellness recommended Katie Roberts, CTE Computer Science, Allison Boston, CTE STEM, Angela McCulley, and the district, Dr. Valerie Butcher. Any questions, comments you want to make on that, Mr. Stromberger?
Just that this is a light lift for textbooks when it comes to a very minimal expense, but what's the next one, Dr. Butcher? Yeah. Yeah, so it's significant. Even though most things have gone to a digital format, they still charge you the full price like you're getting a hard textbook. So, it's gonna be hundreds of thousands next year for that purchase. So the state thank you, Dr. Butcher. The state has done a little bit of work in the past years to try and stagger that so that school systems don't have a hit every year or have 2 or 3 big hits in a year. So as we said, this will be a light hit as far as textbook purchases go this year, anticipating a larger one next year with the Solstice adoption.
All right, so any other question about the individuals recommended for being on the textbook adoption committee? Okay. If not, we'll move on to next item on consent. Just want to draw your attention that we will be sending out the director's evaluation to be filled out. It's a little bit maybe shorter than what it did last year, but want to try to have that done here in the next couple of weeks. You're all familiar with it, same survey and question evaluation that we've used in the past, and a hard copy or a overview of what those questions were presented in your packet. Unless there's any questions, requests for change by either the director or board, we will prove that that's the evaluation we would use for this cycle.
I don't have any changes, but Mr. D, last year you provided evidence of many of those items, if not all. That was extremely helpful. I know that's a lot of work, but I'd love to see that again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions comments regarding the director's evaluation process?
When will we see that come through our email, and when do you want it back?
Oh, talk to Ms. Rush, but we'll get that out sometime this week. So what the question of when I want it back, I want it back by, say, sometime, it's a great question, say around the 22nd. We'll look at that. No, ma'am. In fact, if you could just go on and send that out, that'll be fine. And give us 2 weeks. That'll give you enough time to compile the data, right? Give you enough time to do your self-evaluation? Okay. What is 2 weeks? 22nd. We'll go with get them returned back by May 22nd. Okay, then the last item in our work session is summer school preliminary budget. We've been asked to, been presented with preliminary budget for running summer school learning camps. This year, this budget's been presented to the state, but it gives us total of what summer school is going to cost us. You like to speak to that?
Yes, so what you're looking at is last year's budget. So in true state fashion, we do not have our budget officially for this summer school, although we anticipate it's going to be slightly larger than, we think it's going to be slightly larger than it was last year. Okay, so, yeah, so the meetings that I've been in it's gonna be the same, but there might be a chance of increase, and they are moving it together. The transportation funds are now folded in with the instructional funds. So what we're asking the board to do tonight is, on a preliminary basis, approve us to move forward, because we have to staff summer school, even though they don't have that. So we've been told by the state it's gonna be at least what we had last year. So we're asking the board to approve at least that amount so that we can start staffing it and start recruiting students to come. And then once we have that, obviously, we'll get that before the board. And you have meetings at the end of the month. I'd be able to give you an update on what our actual budget funding was. I apologize, we can't be any more specific, but I've provided last year's budget so that you can see this is exactly what we will work off of.
So,
Okay.
quick question on that, and this may be something for you ladies over here, but summer school is the month of June, correct? Is that right? 4 weeks? Four weeks, almost $500,000. That is astronomical. 16 days. Holy smokes. That's a bunch of money.
So, question, board members, we've been asked to approve this preliminary budget. That would be approved if under consent, unless there was any objection that you wanted to discuss it more. If we did, we'd pull that out, add that to new business. Any thoughts on that?
Just one other note, that's money that's coming in from the state, that's coming in and going back out. So that's not money that's coming out of the White County's budget.
Well, with that comment, then I think, Mr. Young, I'm fine leaving it in consent. We're gonna take whatever the state's gonna give us,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly. It's basically saying we're going to agree to spend whatever the state gives us. So I think we're all in agreement with that. Okay, so that was a healthy consent agenda. So just as a review, what we're going to do when we get to our regular meeting here in just a minute. We weren't pulling anything out of our consent agenda items with the exception of 2 budget amendments regarding Fund 141 with the high performance bonus funds that were received. We'll put those amendments down in new business under item A. So if you could add that on the fly, that'd be great. All right, if nothing else, we will conclude our work session, call this meeting adjourned, and 5 minutes we'll begin our regular meeting. Thank you. All right, here's your 2-minute warning. We'll start in 2 minutes. All right, if I could have your attention, this time I'd like to call the May 7th meeting of the White County Board of Education to order. If you would, please rise. Ms. Tracy Fowler is going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler, and thank you for everyone being here tonight, members of the public, our staff, and our honored guests tonight. Tonight we have Mr. Wilson and representatives from the high school here, so we look forward to hearing from you later in our meeting. So before we consider approving tonight's agenda, just a couple of things I'd like for you to know. Tennessee Statute and Board Policy 1400 states that every meeting of the board shall be open to the public except where law allows a closed session. The agenda for board meetings are posted on the district's website at www.whitecountyschools.net, and the agendas are posted at least 3 days prior to each meeting. Public Acts of 2023, Chapter number 300, and Board Policy 1404 state that each board meeting shall include an agenda item reserved for public comment, as well as the conditions under which those wishing to comment will be recognized. A sign-up sheet is made available prior to the beginning of each regular meeting for those wishing to speak. Individuals who have signed up prior to the start of our regular meeting and wish to speak during the time portion of the agenda will be recognized in the order listed on the sign-up sheet at the time designated for public comment. Legislation recently signed into law open public comments to include agenda items as well as matters that are germane to the White County Board of Education's jurisdiction. Upon approval of the policy tonight that's in consent agenda, this policy will go into effect immediately. Per the policy, the total allotted time allowed for public comment will be 30 minutes, and each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes to speak. Delegations shall select only one individual to speak on their behalf unless otherwise determined by the board. It should not be expected that the board would take up any matter brought up during public comment period during tonight's meeting unless it was an agenda item. The public is encouraged to reach out to the representatives with questions or comments about district matters. Board meetings are streamed with the help of our central office technology staff for live or recorded viewing. The links are provided on the district websites. Attending and or speaking during tonight's meeting applies consent for comments and appearances to be used. So before we consider tonight's agenda, does anyone on the board have a conflict of interest on an item on the agenda being considered tonight?
Mr. Chairman, as I have done each and every month for the past almost 12 years and will do for at least 3 more times after tonight, no conflict of interest on the agenda for tonight. Just want to make sure that my comments are of mine and mine alone and for the best interest of our students first and then our staff throughout this district.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald, and that's because you have a spouse that's working within the district?
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Yes, my spouse is my wife is an employee of the district, and the comments you hear from me will be of my own interest for the school district.
Not a problem, Mr. McDonald. Thank you for clarity.
Sorry, I screwed that up
It's all right,
once in
Mr.
12
McDonald.
years.
That's once in 12 years is okay. Ms. Officer.
I'm not going to put a time frame on mine, but my husband is employed by the district, so no conflicts tonight, but the thoughts and comments are mine and mine alone.
Thank you, Ms. Officer.
Same here, Mr. Chair. I do remember that my wife works for the school system. Nothing on the agenda provides a conflict, and my opinions are mine.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So, Ms. Sims, please let the minutes for tonight's meeting show that Mr. McDonald, Ms. Officer, Ms. Smith all indicated they have spouses working for the district, but nothing on the agenda would constitute a conflict for them. So at this time, board members who had a chance to review the agenda for tonight's meeting as it was posted, we do have 2 items that we need for clarity. There's a new business item that was added. That's the high performance budget allocations that directors asked us to consider. And with that, we're moving from a consent agenda to budget item transfers that apply to that. Those regarding subfund, new monies for subfund, or general purpose fund 141. And so those items that were reviewed in consent, those items and amounts will be moved to a new business item. Otherwise, no other changes to the agenda has been considered. So at this point, I'd entertain a motion for approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Entertain a motion for approval for the agenda
I
for
make a
tonight's meeting.
motion.
Have a motion by Ms. Douglas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Fowler. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. During our work session at 5 o'clock, we reviewed the board meeting minutes from April 9th, 2026, both our board meeting and our work session, and those will be part of approval for tonight. Also in policy, we have policies that were presented to us for first reading, policies 1151, 1804, 4214, 5114, 5200, 5201, 5202, 5302, 5310, 5400, 5403, 5606, 5608, 5800, 51151, and 63041. Those policies were reviewed tonight and will be considered part of our consent agenda and approved on first reading. Also tonight, policies 1404 and 2400 will be coming forward for second reading as part of our consent agenda. We heard from we're presented with a maintenance report by Mr. Alley. That was reviewed. Also a budget report that was given by Ms. Officer with the material provided by Mr. Markham. Budget amendments and transfers. There were 11 budget amendments and transfers that were discussed. None of those were new monies, but it was just reappropriation of funds that have already been budgeted. Personnel report was reviewed, or threat assessment was reviewed. TLN report was given Mr. Smith. There were 4 travel requests that were discussed. Boys High School basketball team going to Panama City Beach in December for a tournament, as well as the high school girls team going to Gulf Shores, Alabama, same time period. FCCLA will be going to a leadership conference in Washington, D.C. in July, and then our director has requested travel for National Superintendent's Forum in California in December. Three fundraising requests that were presented, FCCLA and football and the quarterback club all requested fundraiser approvals since their need to get ahead of the curve on that. We had a textbook committee approval for CTE. The director's evaluation process will begin, and the board members will be sent the evaluation form electronically, and that will be requested that be returned and completed by May 22nd this year. And then summer school preliminary budget was approved with, and summer school is totally funded by the state. So we have a preliminary approval of what that monies are going to be. So those are items in consent agenda. Again, board members, if there's any item in consent that needs further discussion, pull that out and add that into new business. Otherwise, unless there's objection, the items in consent will be considered approved. Do I hear an objection? Okay, hearing none, then the consent agenda is adopted as presented. Next is we were presented with recommendations for tenure, and tenure is process for the teachers go through to get evaluated, and then it comes to the board for they're recommended to the board for approval and granting these employees tenure within our district. If you're here tonight, those that have been that are eligible and have been recommended for attendance, give you the opportunity to please stand when I call your name, but I will recognize those teachers that have been recommended for tenure. Shelby Brooks, Carla Foster, David Foster, Joel Goff, Philip Hensley, Augusta Jones, Logan Lowry, Dana Smith, Andy Southard, Lauren Spear, Cole Vaughn, and Allie Woodford. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
So board members, these individuals were recommended for approval for tenure. If there's any comments that director would like to make or any other board member, we can do that before we take a motion for approval.
Yeah, first of all, just want to say congratulations, ladies in the room, and everyone on this list for a job well done. The tenure process has changed from what it was 100 years ago when I started, but it basically, you have to attain a overall, what we call LOE, level of effectiveness score, of a 4 or a 5 for 2 consecutive years into your 5th year of teaching. So that year 4 and 5 would have to be a 4 or a 5 in order to attain tenure. So on your list, you'll see a list of different months listing to make sure that they're qualified. They've served a number of months. Some of them are higher than others, meaning they probably came from another district. And when you come from another district, you're on a probationary period of 2 years. And so you have to attain that 4 or 5 status as well for those 2 years. So that's why the difference in months there. But certainly all high quality educators and contributing to the great scores that we have here in White County. And we're very proud to honor these folks and to recommend them for tenure tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Stromberger. Any other comments?
I was going to ask that question in a minute, just in a few moments, but he answered my question for me because some are at 213 months and some are at 45 or, 50 months or whatever. So he answered that question for me. But I do want to say I am so proud of each one of you that are here and the ones that are maybe watching. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I'll make a motion we approve each name that listed.
Okay, I have a motion for approval for those eligible for tenure as presented. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Fowler. Discussion?
No discussion, but Mr. McDonald and Ms. Fowler beat me to it. All the folks on this list are very worthy, but it does give me great pleasure to know one personally, Ms. Brooks, so it's an honor to be able to vote yes.
All right, any other
We won't
discussion?
hold her knowing Mr. Smith personally against her. My wife thinks a lot of her too, so. And she's blushing, so you can see it.
Can we get the camera on that? No, I'm just kidding. All right. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor for approving tenure recommendations signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on our agenda is school spotlight. We are happy to have Principal Greg Wilson from White County High School here with us this evening. All year we have been focusing on the arts and recognizing those who have showed great performance and talent in the arts, and so I think this concludes our school, all of our schools for presentations this year. So, Mr. Wilson, thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing those that you'll be recognizing tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank the school board and Mr. Drombarger for their support of the fine arts at White County High School. We have multiple students that take advantage of the opportunities given to them in our School for Fine Arts. A little later tonight, our WCHS band spring concert will happen. Monday night, we'll have a performance of our WCHS choir. And our art department is what we're going to spotlight tonight. Our art department is under the direction of Miss Melissa Amaral, and she's accomplished great things in her department with her students over the years. And tonight we have the privilege of honoring 5 students that are awarded winning artists at some competitions. And each of these students competed and received awards at the Reba Bacon Art Competition for the Upper Cumberland region. This is an art competition that has been going on for over 35 years and includes all the schools in the Upper Cumberland region. And WCHS is proud to recognize the following students as our Artist of the Year spotlights. And ladies, when I call your names, if you'll come up, please. Our first student is Morgan Campbell. Morgan is a senior and the daughter of Elizabeth and Charles Menifee. She received 4th place in the clay division. Congratulations, Morgan. One was not able to be with us here tonight, and that's Olivia Carroll. Olivia is a senior and a daughter of Brittany and Andrew Carroll, and she received 2nd place in the clay division and has had several things honored at other events that we've had, and she wasn't able to be here with us tonight. Our next young lady is Kaylee Kelly, and she's a sophomore, and she's the niece of Amber and Kevin Randalls. She received 4th place in the 3-dimensional artwork. In addition, Kaylee has been selected to attend the High School Art Intensive Program this summer at the TTU Appalachian Center for Crafts. Congratulations. Our next young lady is Ella Neal. Ella is a junior and the daughter of Jen and Joe Neal. She received 3rd place in the pen and ink division, and she also took 1st place in the 3-dimensional artwork division. Congratulations. And our next young lady is Casey Wright. Casey is a senior and the daughter of Jason and Sarah Wright. She placed 2nd in the colored pencil division. She placed 3rd in the oil painting division, and 5th place in the acrylic painting division, and placed 2nd in the 3-dimensional artwork division. Congratulations, Casey. And we're so proud of these young ladies and all of our students who participate in the arts at WCHS, and we thank you for all the support that we get from the school board and Mr. D. And again, our arts departments at White County High School, they're, in my opinion, the best in the Upper Cumberland. And I really am proud of our students here tonight. And again, we thank you for spotlighting White County High School tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. We're going to recess. We'll take opportunity to just take some pictures. Parents, you're welcome to come up and take pictures at this time, and then we'll resume shortly. Mr. Wilson, you're welcome to jump in those pictures too. So ladies, if we could, I hate to put you on the spot, but could you come over and show who made what? And if you could just step over and show, we'd love to see this. Pardon? There you go. Does Mr. Wilson let you walk down the hall with that on? Mr. Wilson,
Hey, first first
Hey,
place.
we can fix that tonight, just a motion.
I don't get it, that's a world I don't understand. I mean, I have such a huge appreciation for it. You know, my son's wife is an artist, and the things she does, I'm like, I don't even know how you see that. I can't even visualize it. It's really awesome.
That's crazy. Okay, thank you. All right, well, listen, you're welcome to stay as we continue our meeting, but we certainly appreciate you taking time out of your day and coming for that presentation, allowing us to recognize you. Mr. Wilson, thank you for coming as well. They're gonna get them tomorrow. All right, so at this time, I'll call our meeting back to order. Next item on our agenda is student representative report, and Ms. Callie Odell would like to recognize you to give us an update.
Okay. I've been a little sick, so bear with me if I need to get water or something. I just want to note before I start, I'm a little sad because this is like our last full report, and Bella's not here because she's at a FFA event, but she's here with us in spirit. So, to start, as we begin wrapping up the school year, there are still many exciting things happening across all of our schools, but specifically at the high school, next week we'll officially conclude our AP testing. And I just want to take a second to recognize AP and dual enrollment kids because they work very hard and they put in a lot of preparation throughout the school year in addition to balancing sports and extracurriculars and all that type of stuff. Those types of courses require a lot of commitment both inside and outside of the class, and our students have represented White County extremely well through their perseverance and academic achievement. As the school year comes to a close, teachers and students will also begin preparing for the transition into the next school year, while many juniors begin important senior preparations like finalizing senior schedules, college planning, and graduation requirements. Our spring sports seasons are almost done, and we're very proud of all of our student athletes for their hard work and dedication throughout the season. We especially want to recognize the tennis team for advancing to regional play and competing with great determination and sportsmanship. They fought hard, represented White County well, and continued to demonstrate the growth and success of the program. Student organizations and clubs also continue to stay very active as we close out the year. FFA, Beta Club, Skills USA, FCCLA, and many other groups are continuing to participate in leadership opportunities, competitions, service projects, and school events. There has also been a lot of fundraising taking place recently through organizations like Skills USA and Beta Club, and it's been great to see both students and the community support. Beta Club members are especially looking forward, as you guys may have seen, to the upcoming Beta Banquet on Saturday, May 9th, where students will have the opportunity to celebrate accomplishments from throughout the year and recognize the success of the organization. Overall, there are a lot of positive things continuing to happen. Even as the school year begins winding down, students remain busy academically, athletically, and through extracurriculars. It's been exciting to see students continue to grow as leaders both inside and outside of the classroom, and we are proud of everything that they have accomplished.
Thank you, Ms. Odell. We appreciate that. And yeah, this is a busy season, busy time for the high school, but all the schools throughout the district as conclude testing and start heading into the transition before they break for summer. Any questions, comments for our student representative? We would like for you to mark on your calendar to come back next month, and we'll make sure Ms. Sackett gets that invitation as well, but we certainly want you to be back with us in June if you can. All right, so we'll go on next item on our agenda, and that's our district update. Mr. Drumbarger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Personnel reports in your packets. We've offered employment to several prospective teachers as positions have opened up due to normal attrition. We have a few more positions yet to fill, but we have great applicants to choose from. We're very excited about the new hires that we've made. There will be some administrative changes in the coming weeks, and those will be announced in a timely manner. Academically, TCAP testing is practically complete. Some makeup testing still is outstanding, but that will all be finished tomorrow. The process this year went very smoothly, and thank you to all of our school families, and all of our administrators for making that happen. High school AP testing, as we said, was taking place this week, and there's some progress monitoring going on as well as we wind up the school year. Special thanks to our administrators, testing coordinators, teachers, staff, students, and families for all their hard work in producing a great testing environment and testing experience. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week. I hope everyone takes the opportunity to reach out to teachers and thank them for all that they do. White County is blessed to have a team of high-quality professionals leading our classrooms, and their hard work is the backbone to our success. To that point, I had the pleasure of visiting Woodland Park Elementary this week and spending some time in the classroom. I witnessed a group of teachers there using their planning time to delve into a practice called success criteria to improve their practice for next year. At a time where it would be really easy to take your foot off the accelerator, our teachers are pressing hard and are already looking at next year. So that commitment to excellence is what makes us successful, and just want to say thank you to all of our teachers. You are appreciated. Legislatively, the General Assembly is adjourned for this session. Now we will work with TSBA, sometimes TSSAA, and TOSS through a myriad of laws and policy changes. The school board has addressed many of these policies this evening, but you can expect many more in the month of June. Financially, the school board will be discussing a fiscal year 27 budget on May 26th and voting on that budget on May 28th. I'm working closely with Mr. Markham, our finance director, to produce a preliminary budget as soon as possible. This preliminary budget will be shared with the school board in the coming days, so you can study it prior to the 26th meeting. Athletically, spring sports are in tournament stages and winding down for the year. Several of our teams are top contenders, and all of our squads are representing our school system well. Some of our fall sports are already in conditioning phases, and we'll have camps and practices throughout the summer. The TSSAA dead period is set for June 22nd through July 5th, and during this time, no athletic activities of any kind will take place. Building projects, we have selected a contractor to install the wall panels at the WCHS Career Academy and expect that work to take place this summer. Floor tile installation at Doyle is complete, the cabinets are being installed, and the furniture has arrived. This project is very close to completion. There are no major capital projects scheduled for next year, but there will be many small projects that we hope to tackle in next year's budget. Finally, in the calendar update, there are only 11 days of school left in this school year. Very proud of the hard work of our staff and students that they've put in this year. All of our teams have functioned at a high level, and we're anxious to see our test results coming in the coming months. Quick reminder that the baccalaureate service for White County High School will be May 7th, 7 p.m. on May 13th, Graduation for Warrior Academy will be held at the high school at 6 p.m. on the 14th, and traditional high school graduation ceremony will be on the football field, weather permitting, at 7 p.m. on May 15th, and we hope to see everyone there. This completes the director's report, but I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Stromberger. Board members, any questions for our director regarding the report? Okay, if none, thank you for that thorough report, and thank you for keeping us updated weekly too as we go throughout the year. So the next item on our agenda is public comment. As mentioned, public comment is portion of our agenda allow members from the public to speak on an item that is on the agenda or any item germane to the district falls under the board's jurisdiction. Sign-up sheets provided before each meeting. We will recognize those that wishing to speak in order which they are on the list. But since there is this is new, first time on this revision of the policy 1404, if any member of the public wishes to speak that was not signed up on the sign-up sheet, if you'd like to speak now, we'd recognize you at the podium. Okay, if not, then we'll move on to new business. And new business item from when our agenda was first published earlier this week was our directors asked us to consider the allocations for the high performance bonus that we received from the state. bonus that totaled approximately $600,000. And so that was new money coming to the district. And again, really appreciate everyone. It's the district as a whole is what sets conditions to make high performance happen. But we can't not recognize those that are actually doing the work, the students, and recognize the hard work that they put in and showing that high performance, and also the teachers and administrators and staff that set the conditions for that high performing learning to take place. So in our packet, we were asked as a budget amendment to consider the appropriations of that new money, and Mr. Drumbarger has briefed us in our work session about how he would suggest that we appropriate that money, but we pulled it out because thought there might be some more discussion that we'd want to have, and this is the appropriate setting to do that. With that, Mr. Drumbarger, I'll give you the opportunity to share your thoughts on how we allocate these funds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'll try and be brief, as I've already discussed this in the work session, but the district received $607,143 in what is called a high performance bonus. We were one of 22 districts in the state out of 147 that received this, and it just means we did so good on our testing that we got paid for it. We weren't sure because that's unexpected money, and we don't know if it'll happen again. We were trying to say, well, what will we do with that money that we wouldn't have done otherwise? We discussed from a district level the need to get on a better budget cycle with our school bus purchases, a better accounting cycle. So this money would allow us to take the swing of buses that we would normally purchase anyway, but it'll get us on a better fiscal cycle. And that's expensive. That's $336,234 in order to do that. And again, that's money we would have spent anyway, but this puts us on a truer accounting procedure as it should be to purchase the buses that we would purchase. So I felt like from a taxpayer standpoint, that was a good use of the money because it wasn't money we were going to have to generate or ask for or pull out of a fund balance to make that correction. From a district standpoint, we desperately need we have transportation needs. We need vans. All of our vans that our schools use to transport students to various programs like art contests and things like that are in bad condition. They're old, and many of them have been taken out of commission for safety reasons. So I felt like this was, from a district standpoint, an opportunity to replenish our fleet and set up a program to make sure that they're well maintained and they last as long as they can. And it's an expense that we normally wouldn't do otherwise if we didn't have access to funds like this. So I estimate that I can get those used vans in good condition and low mileage for $100,000. We can get 5 of those and put them into service, and I think that's been well received with all the principals that I've discussed it with. Then, as I said earlier, I feel very strongly that a lot of this money needs to go back to the schools. Their performance, their hard work in the classrooms, from the students to the staff to the teachers to the families that get them to school every day, they need to see this reward go back to them. And so I'm proposing that an amount of $50 per student for each school, and that money would go back to the schools to be used at their discretion, with the caveat or the suggestion that it be spent on the students in a way that's visible, that's tangible, that's expedient. That needs to be. There might be some things that they're already. I've run this by some of our principals, and they're already dreaming of ways that they could do some big ticket item that's going to last a long time that otherwise they wouldn't have the ability to do. For example, elementary schools always talk about adding playground equipment. They just can't do it. It's so expensive. But this might be a way for them to finally get a good new piece of playground equipment, maybe work with their PTO. We're talking about ways to celebrate. Another principal talked about, hey, we could bring in this group that does this great performance that kids would really love, but we just can't afford it. We never can afford it otherwise. So they can dream about what that is. They can have conversations with their students. They can vote on what they want to do. I just think this is an opportunity to give back to our kids and to our schools in a way that they deserve. We don't have any guarantee this is going to happen again. We hope that we're going to perform again in a way that we receive that bonus. So we'll have some guardrails on that. You don't want to do something so big for this group right now that next year's group doesn't see any fruit of that. So we'll have conversations about that to make sure that we spend it wisely, but we want to spend it on these kids that have worked hard, and I feel strongly about it. And so this is the proposal that I bring forth, to spend about a third of this money, put it back in the schools, in the hands of the kids that deserve it.
Thank you, Ms. Stromberg, for that explanation. And thank you for keeping us updated on your thoughts prior to coming to this meeting. So, board members, the budget amendments that we discussed in our work session pulled out, there are two. One is, and this does not have a sub-fund, but basically it's taking the funds, a portion of these funds, as our director has broken it down, as roughly a third of that. I think it's $180,550 that would be appropriated to schools under one budget amendment for their to be used at their discretion, and it's been allocated out based on head count at the various schools. So there's been provided with a structure of what that looks like, and then the amount of $436,234 that would be used to for capital for capital spending to assist us in transportation, one of our biggest expenses on an annual basis, but also allow us to provide some upgrades to our transportation vehicles that are not big school buses. They're small buses, vans. So that's what's being considered. So, board members, this time I will give you the opportunity to ask questions, provide comments, thoughts on what's being presented.
While Mr. McDonald's still thinking, the vans, is that a contract price? So you know, or we know exactly it'll be $20,000? I guess that's my concern about some of the exact numbers here. I wouldn't want to approve something that we have to go back and change.
Yes, that's a good question. So in a lot of my vast free time, I spend researching cars in a weird sort of hobby. So I feel confident that we can find those models. I've researched. There's lots of models from anywhere from 2018 to 2023 in the vans that we're looking for. I'm confident we can find them in the mileage that we need. That would keep us under that. That would be my budget. So there wouldn't be any going over in order to make that happen.
And if it came under, would you just take those additional unused funds and apply them to the schools, or?
I don't know. I probably would apply it back towards just the bus or the general fund, because we're going to have to settle that $50 based on the enrollment.
Gotcha.
So I mean, otherwise it would change it to $50.02 or something like that. I think it would be cumbersome. So I'd probably just say that would revert back to the general fund at that point.
You answered my question that I had, and Ms. Smith, I'm sorry if I jumped ahead of you, but the 180,000 that said amount needed for the enrollment of those students, I mean, we had 170,000 left. I mean, that's about, between $9,000 and $10,000 there that would have to be a budget amendment, I guess, would be what would have to come from the general fund, just making sure that those numbers are correct.
So just my calculations today, that 3611 on your in your packet, the last paper there, the enrollment number of 3611 was a number that I had pulled just from a few days ago, a few weeks ago actually. The number I have today is 3567. So it's a little bit lower. So the number, on the quick math, it's $178,350 is what would be needed for the student school bonuses. So those numbers will fluctuate a little bit, but my intention would be not to take anything away from the schools. We would do $50 per student. If it comes from anywhere, if we had to do any sort of budget amendment, it would come towards, and again, I think we might come under the 100,000 for the vans, and then we'd apply it. But if it came from anywhere, we would pull extra money to pay for the buses. I don't want to take it away from the schools, and I think we can definitely do the standard budget on the vans, but I want to make sure the students get that full amount.
Any other questions about appropriations that we're being asked to consider approving?
And again, just if I haven't made my philosophy clear. When I say from the taxpayer standpoint, if I can speak as a taxpayer, what do we need, what can we do with this money? Well, we can buy 2 buses that otherwise we wouldn't have to pay for. So that's what the taxpayers see. If you ask me as a director, what does our district need that I would never otherwise buy? We need vans that I would never otherwise say, let's spend $100,000 on some vans. And then I say to our schools, here's some money, go buy some things that you would never otherwise be able to do that you really want to do for your students and your schools. So that's kind of the philosophy behind this money that we're very honored to receive from our students and our staff's hard work.
Questions, comments from the, I guess that would be the east side of the room.
I do have a question.
Ms. Officer.
So the $9,641 that's coming from unassigned fund balance, what's that?
I don't know. Where is that?
So when you're looking at, it's coming from general purpose, and I think it's one of those others out there,
Oh.
because when you're doing the math, the numbers are $9,641. And so that's coming from another fund somewhere, the unassigned funds. The others. Yep. Page 11. Does that make sense?
So the question is, Ms. Officer, if I'm understanding you correctly, we got an increase of the high-performing school bonus, but then we've also are pulling monies out of account 39,000 unassigned fund balances. That gets you to $436,234. So we're adding a little money, it looks like, out of our fund to, I guess, round this off. So basically, you want to keep it 50 per student, and so you got that money set, and then you said, okay, what's it going to be to cover $100,000 for vans, and then to be able to buy 2 buses. Basically, you had to pull $9,641 to round that off to cover those costs.
That's the maximum, but as we said, if the enrollment number is a little lower, which we think it is, then we won't need the whole $180,550 for the school, so that would go back towards that $9,000. And then if we don't spend a full $100,000 on the vans, that goes back towards that $9,000. So that $9,000 would be the max that we would need, but it's likely to be less than that.
Okay, it's a great catch, and thanks for the clarification. Any other questions, comments on the allocations?
Motion to approve.
All right, so this time entertain a motion by Mr. McDonald for approval of the breakdown of the high performance bonus as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. Discussion?
Just thankful that our teachers and our students put in such hard work to allow us to be able to do this. Kudos to all those teachers and all those students. Ms. Odell, I'll give you your due since you are here and you're part of that. So we're so thankful that you are a member of this board and able to give us the insight that happens at the high school and to be able to discuss with our teachers and our students that we see from the elementary schools and middle school. It's a great time to be a member of this county and this board and of this school system. So, thank you.
So motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Just an example to show you how hard work and dedication it pays. So that's good to see. All right, so next item on our agenda is old business. No items on old business. That brings us down to chairman's comments. We have budget meeting scheduled for May 26th for budget review. That would be 6 p.m. here at the central office. Then we will have a meeting on May 28th where we will consider approval and adoption of that budget to then send on to the county. So along that line, keep in mind that we have director's evaluation that we want to get back, get turned in by the 22nd. So please keep that on your radar. And then our next scheduled board meeting will be June 11th here at the BOE. So regarding that, that's all the chairman's comments for tonight. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment. Motion by Ms. Fowler. To have a second. Mr. McDonald, second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much for being here tonight.